Hello everyone, it's GigaBeef here, and today we're looking at the best budget Chad killers in patch 14. Let's jump right in with the easiest pick up and play weapon, which is the KEDR. This gun has always been low recoil, so we're really looking for a headshot or a neck hit when using it. Headshots are just as important as in previous patches, but with the new neck hitbox that can only be armored up to class 3 at best, so long as you're using the right ammo, headshots are even easier than they were before. Because of this, you ideally want to be using ammo with at least 18 pen so that you can get through class 2 neck protection reliably, which is present on many low-end armors such as the U-Late, the 6B13 and the 6B23-1. The best ammo that you can buy for the KEDR at level 1 is RG028, which only has 13 pen, which is a 25% chance to go through class 2 armor on the first hit. This is a little low and you can't get better directly from the traders until Prapor 2, but do bear in mind that 9x18 ammunition is the single most common type of cartridge to find in raid, meaning that you can easily jump up to the top bullets by keeping an eye out for it when you're running around. When you do get to level 2 traders, you can then buy PBM, which has the highest pen of the caliber with 28 but quite low damage of 40. This is the best cartridge for head and neck shots, but you might struggle a little bit if aiming at center of mass due to the prevalence of class 4 armor plates. If you're not so worried about penning class 3 neck armor in particular, PSTM is arguably a little bit better in general, with 58 damage and 24 pen, but do remember that it is only compatible with the Clin rather than the KEDR because it's an overpressure round. You can't buy the Clin until you've completed BP Depot, but handily you can convert a KEDR to a Clin in the level 1 workbench, so long as you have a set of files in your inventory and these don't get used up with the craft. This only takes 30 minutes, and there is technically a craft for the ammo as well if you found a blue gunpowder but don't have the flea yet. The Clin craft is also a sneaky way to get extra 30 rounders without doing the expensive barter before you get to Prapor 2, because you can remove the 30 round mag from the KEDR and then get another one out of the Clin craft, leaving you with 2. As standard, the Clin and the KEDR both come with 30 rounders, but before Prapor 2 you can only buy 20s as backups. Another way of doing this is simply buying 2 of the same gun and selling one back after detaching the magazine. Part of the beauty of the Clin and the KEDR is that they can be hardly modded at all at the start, and you need Skier 2 to even put a laser on the unsuppressed versions using the Rotor 43 RIS mount, which also technically supports a reflex sight, but I don't really think this is worth doing. Once you reach Prapor 2, you can also buy the KEDR B, which is a slightly lower recoil version of the KEDR which is suppressed too, and is actually a real beauty. Before we move on, I want to flag that the next lo-fi album for the channel has just dropped over on Spotify called Waterfalls, and all the music in this video is from that album. Produced in conjunction with Low Wave Records, who make dedicated music for content creators and their audiences to use for free, you can help to support what I do by simply listening to the music over on Spotify. This works much like it does over here on YouTube, and if you're a creator, you can use the music as background to streams and other content for free with no risk of DMCA takedowns or anything like that. I'll pop the link down in the description to my Spotify page where you can find all 3 albums currently, including the new one Waterfalls, and there will be some more coming soon. So next up, weapon number 2 is the AKS-74U. As another gun available right from the start at Prapor 1, the real game changer for the 74U this wipe is the addition of the Pilgrim railed dust cover on Skier 1, which makes adding a sight to the basic non-dovetail variant really easy. Combined with the fact that outside of some accuracy differences, the shorty AKs have basically got the same recoil after the rework as their larger variants, so you may as well use them and take advantage of the improved ergonomics. You can scale the AK-74U builds up and down depending on exactly where you are in trader progression, and at level 1 traders you can add the Pilgrim Rail, the Goliath Handguard also from Skier 1, and any foregrip, although the VFG from Peacekeeper 1 will do just fine. Once you have access to the flea market, the TGP suppressor is compatible with the Goliath Handguard, and for a bit of extra ergonomics you can also add the Saw Grip from Mechanic 2 and the AK GP25 butt pad from Prapor 2 after completing Gunsmith 6. Although these extension parts are nice, they are definitely not necessary for the weapon to function perfectly well. You can use any sights and lasers that you like, but early on I usually sway towards the Cobra EKP plus the sight shade because the combination actually gives you 1 point of ergonomics overall, and it has a fairly usable and stable reticle despite being a little bit fuzzy. As for ammo, the context that we're working with is again, as always, the new armor system, which has equalized the player base quite dramatically. Because wearing the best armor no longer gives you anywhere near the same guarantee of protection that it did before, lower levels can take advantage of this by using bullets with 20 and 30 30 penetration to get through the Class 2 and Class 3 soft armor respectively on the chest, around the plate, and through the neck like we spoke about before. However, unlike the KEDR, the round selection for the 545 weapons is much more versatile, but this does come with the downside that it's more restricted on the traders. At level 1, US is most likely the best that you can get, but fortunately 545 is probably the second most plentiful type of ammo in raid. It's certainly not uncommon to find up to 120 round packs of PS, which with 53 damage and 28 pen these days is actually decent and really pushes up the power level of your PMC artificially, because this one is supposed to be only purchased on Prapor 3. You can also get it quite cheaply on the flea market as well, and the same goes for PP if you want something even better. But without spending any money, by keeping an eye out on both your PMC and Scav, you can stock up on PS, PP, BT, BP, and even BS or Igolnik, although those last two are probably a bit overkill at the moment, but any of these cartridges will help you stand toe-to-toe with some of the most common armors in the game. BP and above especially are able to deal with even Class 5 by powering through the armored plates directly due to their high penetration. Using the new mag loading tool, it's even easier to keep your good bullets on top and the lower grade stuff below, so you don't run out too quickly if you're either reliant on finding these in raid or feel like you're spending too much on the flea for the mid-tier ammos. So next up, we're going to move to level 2 traders with the MPX from Peacekeeper 2, which can be achieved at level 14, which is still pretty early. This weapon can be purchased from him in the standard configuration straight away, but once you've finished Eagle Eye, which is a couple of quests down his path, you can now get the silenced version directly from him at level 2 as well for around 65,000 rubles equivalent. Because the recoil is already so low on these weapons, 32 for this specific build, I don't really like the default stock that it comes with. The Baskak is only 2 ergo because it has a load of recoil reduction, but we don't really need this, and this is why the default MPX silenced only has 46 ergo. Interestingly, once you get to Mechanic 2, you can normally build a better one cheaper by getting a default version from the flea instead and adding the MPX SD barrel, which is the 165mm one, and adding the suppressor on top. This gets to 64 ergo and 35 recoil instead, which is still super tiny on vertical recoil, but the standard MPX stock is miles better than the Baskak on ergo. Then you can basically add any vertical foregrip. I normally choose the VFG again because the recoil reduction doesn't matter, and just pick some lasers and sights. As for the ammo, the standards are either using M882 or PST for 18 and 20 penetration to get through that Class 2 soft armor, or AP6.3 at Peacekeeper 3 to get through the Class 3 soft armor. Most of the time AP6.3 won't make much difference, but just in case you do run into somebody with a Class 3 carrier like a Thor or an Osprey Protect, it can snag a kill where PST wouldn't. The MPX is great in the new armor system because it has a high rate of fire at 850 RPM while still being amazingly controllable and quite cheap, giving you lots of chances to hit unprotected or low protection areas away from the plates when fighting other players. The main downside is that you're stuck with 30 rounders until Mechanic 3 if you don't want to pay a lot on the flea market, although once you do get to Mechanic 3 there is a nice middle ground magazine being the 41 rounders, which I quite like. However, if you are desperate for a larger mag from the traders, the MP5 SD, which is quite similar to the MPX, can take a 50 round drum too. This one barters for 3 wires, and the MP5 SD itself is another one that gets unlocked after the quests in Peacekeeper's line, this time scrap metal. The MP5 SD has a slightly slower rate of fire, but these two weapons are pretty similar now, so it's primarily personal preference which one you prefer. Next up, we have a bit of a rogue one, the VSS. This weapon is usually pretty cheap on the flea, although you do have to be careful about durability, and it comes with low recoil as standard. It's more like an SMG than an assault rifle in some ways, and I think at this point the theme of patch 14 is starting to become clear, and it boasts an impressive fire rate of 900 RPM, but what makes it formidable is the accessibility of the SP5 cartridge. With 28 penetration, this makes it perfectly suitable for dealing with all the soft armors, and fairly equivalent to PS and M855, which have 28 and 31 pen respectively, but SP5 has 71 damage compared to the other two's 53 and 57. This is extremely high, especially for a cartridge that can be bought from Prapor 2. However, as usual, most of these weapons do have a downside. After all, they are budget choices for a reason, and for the VSS, it's the magazines. There are 10s, 20s and 30s, with the 10s on Prapor 2, the 20s on Prapor 3 and the 30s on Prapor 4, although there is a barter for the 20s and 30s that is accessible each one level earlier on Prapor. If you can get tech manuals from Fence at 5k, this could be worth doing for the 20 rounders, but usually the simplest way is just to buy them from the flea market, which is normally under 10,000 rubles. The 30s, on the other hand, are quite a bit more expensive, and even with the Prapor 3 barter are often 45k plus, so as a budget killer, it's potentially a little bit too much. But if you decide that you really like the VSS, it's certainly viable to put one in your weapon to start with, as the high RPM will really eat through your ammo extremely quickly if you're using it on full auto. Because the ring mounts to add lasers are locked behind level 3 traders, the easiest way to get around this is to buy an Axion Cobra rail and to put any sight on top with a tactical device on the side. My final budget Shad killer then is the AUG, which I've been absolutely loving this wipe. One of the reasons why the AUG is so great is that you can start with it right from Peacekeeper 1. This is certainly not perfect, as you're stuck with the A1 variant, including its very weird scope, but with the recoil changes this wipe, it's actually usable. The AUG has one of the lowest out-of-the-box recoils of any weapon, and certainly so across 5.56, and given that it can't really be modded, is extremely cheap to run compared to some of the alternatives. The AUG's downside is that it's reliant on Western ammo sources, which are not as plentiful either in raid or on the traders, as M855 begins on Peacekeeper 3. However, USEX will start with a lot of M855, which should be plenty to get started with if you chose that faction. The next most accessible ammo is, interestingly, Mark 318 SOST on the level 2 workbench, so after Mechanic 2, which leapfrogs M855 for something more analogous to 545 PP. 55 damage and 33 pen is very decent these days, but if you're struggling, it is also possible to buy M855 and SOST on the fleet as well. As you move up the trader levels, the AUG continues to scale though, so to really unlock the full potential of it, you either need to buy the A3 version from the flea market or get to Peacekeeper 3, at which point you're able to mod an A1 using the A3 upper to add custom sights and tactical devices. No matter which way you do this, the AUG's starting stats really make it super controllable, with fast bullets for medium distance but SMG style recoil. Ergonomics is probably its biggest downside, but using the Ratworks muzzle adapter, you can bump this up a lot by using the mini monster suppressor, as the gun simply doesn't need any more recoil reduction. As an extension, you can also use the AUG's 42 rounder if you have a rig with a 3x1 slot, so just making it that little bit more flexible. So finally, to round us off, we'll check out a nice little raid on streets with the AUG to show it in action.
Okay, you know what, let's go back to Concordia. No, I've got it on semi, no. That man was not ready. Neither was I, but he was less ready than me. That's all that matters. You don't need to outrun the bear. You just need to outrun the next guy. Right? I mean, he wasn't paying attention at all. I think he just was really not paying attention. Like, he wasn't expecting to get shot at by me, like, whatsoever, for some reason. What's he got in this? Class 4 plates? Monocleats? Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take his plate there. Pop that guy out. I guess I'll take these. But at the same time, I don't really want to swap out my XLs, because the XLs are, like, really good. But, so I don't know if somebody else was could spawn over there, potentially. I know you can spawn down in the underground. I need to go into the underground security room to go and like grab the thing anyway. Oh. Thought there might be another PMC here. God damn it. Just went round the corner as I tried to clip him. Oh, damn. You're going to complete dandies with just PMC kills? It's stupid, honestly. It's stupid. Why? Why is it like this? Rush, go. That's the surefire way to get killed, honestly. Like, I'm not very good at, like, pushing in and rushing up the kill. Somebody stays completely stationary, and then I run in, and then they just gun me down from some angle that I wasn't quite expecting. That's what happens every time. Like, when I push it, that always happens to me. I've only literally reached class 5 myself. What in God's name is he doing stood there? This game is genuinely going to give me a heart attack. Why was he, like, why didn't he even shoot? Oh my God. Was he unlocking the door? I don't know. Fucking key on him? Yeah, it must have been like this. He must have been unlocking the door. Org, no mag. Like, yeah, I don't understand. I'm going to get in the room. Hold on. Let's get inside the room first. What's the deal here? Tango? What is going on? Also using the org. He was keying the door, but he had no mag in. Did he like manage to undo... Did he like undo his mag or something? Dude, what is going on? Genuinely, what's going on? What's he got? M855. Okay, they're all M855. Alright. Yeah, they're all M855. Okay. But why did he have no mag in his gun? He forgot to load the gun with the mag. Was he the guy from the beginning? There's somebody like over the top of me or like something like that. That's someone inside here or the above. They could still just be above. Alright, so where is it? Ah, there's the drive. Okay, so that's surveillance. It's like not a bad room. Oh, a razor. Ah! Pretty good. Ow. We're going back down here for a second. Apparently. How many PMCs do you need? Not even a PMC quest. You could literally just kill scavs. But I keep meeting actual players. I don't know if that was a... Was that like another guy with a bomber hat on? I'm not even sure. What I joined into? Honestly. I don't even... Like, I'm not... it's one of those raids. I just don't feel like I'm going to leave this raid. I've like walked probably... how far from my spawn have I got? Like 100 meters? Okay, it's actually a player. Plus 4 plates. They picked up my... That's my balaclava. That's literally my balaclava. Why is his baggage short? Because he picked up mine! No plate in the rig at the back. Yeah, he's got no back plate. He does have a front plate. Forge your gun and take the M4. I'd rather keep the AUG for now. I don't really like forwarding my own gun. I just feel like it leads to like just problems. Okay, so what was I thinking? What was I even thinking? I wanted to get to Sewer River. You know, I'm probably best off going Sewer River this way. Round past theatre. You stop someone from yoking your insurance. Yeah, because he got my stuff from over here. My equipment was there on this guy, and he took my bag and my ghost mask. AUG is meta. I think the AUG is really good. I think the AUG is the best 5.56 gun in the game. Like, no, honestly, I'm not kidding. I guess it's worth a check for the car. It's highly unlikely that... Oh. Now we wait. There is only one entrance and exit out of this. So we should be good to just, you know, blast the guy. And I need those kills for dandies anyway. Not the most valiant kill of all time. But again, I don't care. Now, is the other one potentially open? Courtyard. We can go and check Courtyard, actually. I'm going to run this a little bit because I'm so open anyway. We can go and check Courtyard at the end, and then we can, like, hop over. Sewer River's, like, down that road. The reason why I prefer going this way is because, like, typically it's less hot. Not always. Sometimes there are people around here. But typically it's not as hard as going, like, through some of the other avenues on this map. Yeah, we'll go red dot as our main site. I just wanted to make sure that we're actually on red dot mode. Did I hear a little noise? In there? Or no? Yeah, that's actually not open. I don't think that was at me. I think that was some ye olde collateral bullet whiz. But I'm hoping. That's true. Right. So the only thing about this particular avenue is that it's sort of countered the flow of the map. Not necessarily the best idea, because if you are a damaged house enjoyer and you have that as your extract, then you probably will path down through Pinewood down to damaged house to come out of the raid. Whereas like Sewer River for me is over there. So we may end up facing each other, you see. This is like a natural pathway for people to leave. So I just got to be a bit careful. I still think it's better than going the other way around, trying to cross the road, go through post office and all of that gubbins, because, you know, that's just, it's just crazy around there. And I think this is a lot better. Like, early on in the raid, sometimes you get people doing stuff around here. It's less regular, is why we're going here. Now I wonder, is this Jaeger's quest? It is. Opportunistic. Hopefully, no one down here. Should be okay. Gotta go now, have a good stream. No problem. See you later. Like what you play, because you play in a similar manner to me, just way better at it than me. Sometimes I'm okay. Not a good Shift W guy, though. What situation do you use sidesteps? I don't use it at all anymore. Don't use sidestep at all. Look at that. 3 player kills. That's not really what I wanted. I wanted to try and farm scavs, but oh well. So don't forget to go and check out the Spotify page for some of that new music that's been featured in today's video. As usual, a big shout out to all my patrons, and as always, have fun in your raids.